One and all, welcome back to the Age of Empires for action. We got a fun one here. A few days ago, me and Crackety were having a little bit of a debate about the Francais versus Japanese and how it's an impossible matchup for French. So what does Crackety do? He gets his big boy guns out, he goes onto the ladder, and he looks to beat up a kid. Really manly of you, Crackety. So we've actually got a matchup between Voldemort and Crackety here. Voldemort is going to be using the Japanese in the yellow, and it is going to be French in the hands of Crackety. Himiyama's the map, so actually a good map for the Japanese to open up with the fishing, and we're already seeing that coming out. But yeah, this was an interesting one to me, right? Because I felt like French couldn't really play this matchup because both sides kind of get locked in. You can't stop the Japanese easily from fast castling, and if they fast castle, French knights suck. And the reason they suck, guys, is currently the charge is bugged. They don't get their bonus damage from a lance charge because the damage doesn't register due to deflective armor. And this is a big, big, big disadvantage for French, right? It's one of the biggest advantages of their cav, and it doesn't exist. It means Mounted Samurai can beat them. And when I mentioned this at the time, Crackety's reaction was that you can just kind of outpost rush them. You play spears, you rush their gold, and oh my god. My response, do you remember what it was, Crackety? I believe I said I could see that working on the correct map with the correct spawn. Bruh. This is already a good matchup for French, or rather a good map for French, folks, because Himiyama has very exposed tree lines, so it's difficult to dodge all these raids that come in from French players. To make matters worse, he has a double gold spawn on the same location. So if pressure comes in here, Voldemort doesn't have a backup option. He doesn't have a second gold vein he can run off to instead. Damn, we're going to have to keep an eye on that because I think that's going to be an important detail. So tech up's about to occur, and it is going to be the School of Cavalry. 5 being built with. I believe this is the timing Crackety Fury crafted with us that he talked about. This was a build that he used against Dimmu, right? You tech up with 5. I believe he said it gives you a tech timing of about 3.5 minutes, and that should be anything that the Japanese can achieve. At that point, they aren't going to be rushing outposts either, because unless a Japanese player scouts for this, they will not prep an outpost. And folks, it's even worse on this map. Because you go fishing, you've already burnt a lot of resources. You're playing a lot longer in feudal than you normally would with Japan. In Dark Age, rather, than you would with Japan. And I think he's about to make it worse by going Kura Storehouse. In fact, he's kind of needing to. 5 sheep. Yeah, guys, this is Kura. This is pretty rough. The reason why... Oh my god, he is actually going to go Koka. So, Koka is what I wanted him to do, because you can build into extra units to assist, and then the Shinobi stab from behind, so they're not absorbing the knight charges, right? And then if your opponent tries to micro onto you, you always have Shin to just dodge them easily. But that's in a game where you have, like, 12 sheep. He has 5. And although he might have fishing, he's not going to have it for long. Oh, no. Crackety. Oh, this is vile. Remember, on average, when you're going to tech out of the Dark Age, you have about 0.6 more villages as French. So this doesn't hurt you to pull 2 villages to do, as much as it does for other civs. Dude, Crackety, please. Like, you're not racing for first. Voldemort needs this. So once again, folks, Koka is a good way to play this because French knights will get brutalized by Shinobi if you out-micro them. Because they have 25 damage against a unit that has 3 melee armor, right? It does require an outplay on the micro. You do need extra units like Spearmen or Horsemen to make it work. But it is feasible. However, with all the other details in the equation, this is not the game for it. You have to bite the bullet and go Kura, or you go to hell. Damn. So Crackety, quite content with what he's done. He already gathered the stone. Only 1 drop off here. He only needs a single outpost. So typically, this build that Crackety's been Fury crafting, you either target the gold, or in this case, you pivot it into food. I think if it wasn't for the sheep count, he maybe would have still tried for the gold. It would have been very difficult and probably punishable because of that, due to the positioning. But this is why you go Koka as well, right? Like, if this is the one solution that French has, is outpost rushing you, then Koka Township at least protects you against an outpost rush on your base, because the Shinobi will be there quick enough. The kid will find a way. So, next game? Because I can count on one hand the amount of times I've seen a Japanese player build Raxes in Feudal Age and win the game. Bar the Neptune Onobugishu builds. Like, when you're forced to go Spearman, this feels harsh. The idea in this matchup is you shouldn't have to go Spearman. You should just be able to rush Age free. And then your Mounted Samurai answer the issue for you. So kind of a tough situation now for the kid. Behind this, what are we looking at? So Krakody, he may want to consider garrisoning horsemen or knights, something over here, just so he can get the kills. Because right now, with just arrow slits, he's not going to kill the fishing boats. All right, so now with that comment from Core, this has got me thinking. We know that Season 9 is going to nerf wool build speed. Who do we think are going to be the biggest winners and losers of that change? So Anatan's going to be one of the biggest winners, right? Because he never wools. Oh, nice sabotage. That was a kill on the outpost. Minus 100 wood. So yeah, so Anatan never wools. He doesn't care. Voldemar about to lose rank? Because Voldemar does like wooling. I've noticed that quite a lot. Krakody's just going to stop playing China and he'll give up on wooling. Who else doesn't wool much? I feel like Beastie wools a decent amount, right? Because he likes to get to that later phase of the game, but he doesn't rush it. So I don't think he's going to be stung too hard. Louis is probably going to take a kick to the nuts because Louis likes to wool the entire map. That's kind of crazy to think how big of a difference that one detail is going to make. Well, Doc is going to go down. So we talked about him just garrisoning to get the fishing boat kills, but this has the same impact. Spearmen are on the way, but guys, this many Spearmen can't deal with an outpost for Arislets. And you will just see him shift over. So it's a good idea by Voldemar to try and defend this, but I think he's just going to have to take the knee on the first dock. Diving this early would just lose too much. Instead, Voldemar is now going to pivot to gathering on the deer, because guys, he has 0 sheep. Oh, God. So what's the plan now with 0 sheep here? I mean, he's got the berries in the corner. The 8 stack is pretty desirable here, but there's a big opening unless he walls this gap. So I think that isn't going to be for free. And I think Krakody's already suspecting that he's looking onto that. So we'll check on the deer. We'll move past. Keep in mind, Krakody has scouted these deer, and he will see them start disappearing. So the moment he notices that, he's going to beeline north. I love these, like, you know who never wools? My teammates. In before your teammates are 3 Mongols, and it's actually your fault. Double kill there. Nicely played. Krakody, now 4 worker kills in total because he killed the 2 fishing boats. Remember, he's already scaling a lead due to his faster producing TC. And I love this reaction going into the textiles. The reason behind this is Krakody doesn't want to look back at his base. He wants to look into Voldemar's. He's about to do it again. Voldemar, a little bit slow on the breakaway there. 2 more villages down. We won't talk about that, though. Krakody, a bit ambitious with the forward click. Does only lose the horseman for his troubles, though, so totally worthwhile for him. Nico lead now starting to build for Krak. You know, I like to have nicknames for each player. I might just have to start calling him Freddy. Krak as a nickname is probably not what we were looking for here. Well, the whole comment about horsemen and spears being bad on bad food eco, like, what's your alternative? You're not going to build Yumi against knights. You know who builds Yumi against knights? People who want to find themselves racing to 0 elo. It's so hard. It's one of the worst situations to have to do it in. Not bad if you know you can reach castle, right? Because then the veterancy comes through and you actually do some damage, but this isn't that type of game. There's so many spears. Wait, the second group of knights is coming in. This would be good if Krakody was going north. Instead, everything is heading to one location. Yeah, that was a select all army right there, folks. Oops. Backside this, looks like horsemen. We're trying to raid, but the one knight will be able to shove them away. So, what? That's a misclick, right? That has to be a misclick. Because Only a man whose sanity could be questioned would be trying to build Onabagisha. Reminder, this still has the same food implications as Spearman. And while I'm a really big fan of Onabagisha, I also like to tame myself to the limitations. And knights, French knights at that, might be one of the worst things to build Onabagisha into. Maybe he's worried about Spearmen coming out? Archers will, of course, get bonus damage against Bagisha, and statistics-wise, they don't trade that well in this age. This is kind of funky. Predicting the archers? I don't think it's a prediction of the archers, per se. I mean, in theory, like, he has the bulk, right? So he should be able to brute force. This protects you against the knights diving in, and then you can just dive onto the archers. My issue is how do you defend your economy and attack at the same time, right? Because you have to do both. An outpost isn't going to stop 10 knights from riding in here and tearing 15 villages a new one. And you can already see that Crackney is prowling around looking for targets. Oh, he's about to find them on the gold. Dive comes in. Voldemort trying to move away again, but that should be 2 more villages going down. This is starting to add up. Count dive coming in, but that is mostly spears. Only one Onabagisha here. Crackety. No reaction. He moves away too late. What a pinch. Voldemort, I questioned it. But admittedly, it wasn't even about the Bagisha. The spearman, just find the timing there. Great strike back and much needed. All of a sudden, in one foul swoop, 7 worker kills. Netted for Voldemort. That's wild. That's so impressive. And the reason is because the Archer Mass wasn't defending at home. So now the villagers just had to keep running away. And that means that Crackney is going to feel pressured to dive in here. Because now he's idle ecoed, but he's also not attacking. He's also not defending. So you now need to idle eco on the enemy side of the map, or you're just losing the game. He's going to try to cut down the reinforcing wave from Voldemort here. Villagers are still running along. Crackney, where are we going? Is he going to try to gather from the deer next to Voldemort's? I think he is. That's so weird, man. Villagers are going to try to run for it. Archers have at least now arrived. And weird that Voldemort backs away from that. It's only 4 or 5 archers. What has this game become? Oh, this is sick. So we just learned that Crackney struggles with yellows on green. Wait, that is a thing, right? That's a type of colorblind, I think. Crackney, do you actually struggle with yellow and greens? I'm curious now. I mean, I know you don't want to reveal your weaknesses to your enemies, but I'm giving you a cover story here. Oh, God. Well, Voldemort just struggles with keeping villagers alive, full stop. That is another bunch dead. Outpost idea was good. It just needed to come in at the right timing. Unfortunately, Crackney had been waiting for that. We talked about this gold spawn, right? It's a nightmare. And oh, my God! Voldemort, he jumped the gun! He didn't respect the cav. He thought the spearman would just inevitably lead to Crackney running away. He will happily do so now, though. Look at that eco lead. Archers are going to be bailed on. Finally, spears beat archers. Yeah, usually they will when you have that type of advantage. This is insane. 38 spearmen now. If Crackney just leans hard into archer massing, he should be able to get the counter force in time before it arrives in his base. What Voldemort now needs to do is just slap another wall up here and go across the map. He has got a window of opportunity here. It is small and it is closing fast, but if he moves, he could actually punish Crackney for prepping too many knights and not enough archers. Damn, I love how scrappy this game has become. Outpost now being not rushed up, but built up here. Crackney. Wait, what? Voldemort, that's the fight. That is the fight. He's going to start to march forward now. He's like, well, you're right, KP. We need to go. Spearman move in. Knight's going to try to cycle charge into this. It looks like actually the aggro pulled onto the archers, so there was no braids coming out. Crackney actually got the charge in that he needed to try to trade out against this. Outpost is going to go up. And Voldemort will be able to still force him away. A lot more expensive, though, because those charges did come out. That was a smart read by Crackney, baiting the spears to attack. Remember, they can't brace if they're A-clicking into something already. So Voldemort losing a bulk of the spears, and the other issue is he kept a chunk in reserve to protect the north side food sources. So this wasn't even Voldemar striking with his entire army. He split between two. Tail end of that, he only killed one villager. In fact, I think he lost another villager somewhere in the midst of that. Crackety getting close to teching now. Kind of crazy, but given his position, not the worst of ideas now. As long as he keeps archer production going, I'm kind of okay with Age 3 coming in. Especially after the fight that Voldemar just took. Voldemar. I get what Voldemar's trying to do, but this still never feels great to do in Age 2. Hardened Samurai feel like one of the most weak units I can think of. Like I'm trying to think if there's a bigger one that kind of underperforms in Age 2, and I'm not sure there is. Part of that is due to Japan's weak economy in Feudal Age, but still. Another dive comes in. A few knights are going to get pinched, but the archers getting good trades in return, so it makes it worth it for Crackety. And all of a sudden, Voldemar, he's out of food and about to lose his military lead. Ay caramba, and on top of that, Crackety is just one drop-off away from Age 3. Likely we're going to be seeing Guildhall here, because this game is not about knight production. It's become about archers. There we go. He agrees. Guildhall... Whoa, maybe not. He wants a better position. Guildhall makes a lot of sense here. Voldemar is in kind of a death spiral in a deceptive way. Even though he was kind of trading alright, and obviously not so much now, his death spiral is food. He can't access the south side of this map, so he's being blocked off a lot of what he should have access to. He's on his last berry patch in the back of his base, at which point you have to achieve a mass farm transition without Kura Storehouse to pad you. And also without drastic reserves of wood to lean on. I am kind of impressed that Voldemar, in some ways, made this game look close. That raid on the backside especially was sick. Set up complete. I think Voldemar's just going to have to send it. Knights. I'm going to charge in again. And awkwardly, that was kind of weird. Because of the distance at which Spearman embraced, the Samurai kept charging in and the Spearman stopped. So he actually ended up absorbing the charge with the worst unit there. Okay, that's kind of an interesting dynamic I haven't thought of before, because we rarely see Spearmen from the Japanese at this point in the game. Usually the mosh pit is so big it doesn't matter, but here it most definitely does. It means your tankiest unit is just dying to its counter. Veterancy for the archers coming in means everything's going to die soon. I think this game is close to conclusion. Voldemar, he has one hope, and that's a tech up, but the timing looks like it's going to be terrible here. Crackety is already approaching the base, and Voldemar isn't even ready for the age up yet. You don't understand the landmark choice? What? Guildhall? It gives you longevity. You're playing Archer Mass. Archers are how you win this game now. So going Royal Institute makes no sense because that leans into Arbitrary and Mass Knights. There's no reason to build Mass Knights against an opponent who has built Mass Spears. Like, honestly, before the Samurai, there's no reason to do anything but Archers. Even with the Samurai now, because you have an age up, you hit so hard that these Samurais are not worth their investment. Did he make any Shinobi? No. Which is kind of weird, actually. I think there was a point where Spearman Shinobi would have made sense. Actually, like, when he was building Bugusha, Shinobi would have been much better. Shinobi are just better Bugusha at this stage in the game. Dive comes in, though, and archers are going to just mop this up. Knights are still alive and chasing. And that should be GG. There's just so many archers left over here. When the villagers come back through, they're not going to be safe. No textiles either. And Crackety able to win a matchup that does not favor them. French dunking on the Japanese on Himeyama. Cool opening, man. Cool opening. But folks, these two talked after this game. They theory crafted, and we are going to, in a second, hop into another French versus Japanese matchup to see if it holds up or if the outcome changes. So, days since the Voldemar win is still a question mark. He could get the win next. I'm going to load the game right now. In fact, I'm probably going to bundle this as a 2 games in 1 video situation. How long did you two talk for, Crackety? Like 5, 10 minutes maybe? So let me go. There we go. Let's select it now. So I'm loading it up. So Japan versus French. I'm wondering if this spawn is going to change much here. 2 minutes. Okay, guys. 2 minutes is all it took Crackety. If Voldemar now wins this, Crackety is your #1 coach. I'm sorry, Voldemar. He's been eclipsed. You're going to have to get both of them now. Let's find out. It's time to hop in to another Himiyama game. This time, Crackety is going to be in the red as the French. Why? Blue is so nice. So much nicer. Come on. On the other side, Voldemar is going to stick to his yellow. Hey, by the way, Biome is better for camouflaging yellow and green. Actually, no, it's not. It's worse. So, we're going to speed up a little bit of the early game. We're going to see if Voldemar actually goes for the pawn play. I feel like that pawn play wasn't worth it, but it was kind of necessary due to the sheep. It's already looking like a better game. We can see it's 9 sheep coming in for red, 10 so far for Voldemar. So, good divide on the map. They should get about a 50-50 split with this spawn. Usually, most of the sheep are located in the north and south corner, and then a decent chunk around the pond in the center, because the pond doesn't allow them to spawn here, so they get shoved north and south. Yeah, okay, so this is the type of sheep count you can actually make Coca work with. Looking at this spawn as well, it's a really good spawn for Voldemar. A kind of side spawn on the gold, a back spawn that can kind of be walled off here. Oh, okay, I've seen this spawn, actually. I'm getting deja vu. This spawn can happen a decent chunk of the time, actually. I think I've cast 4 or 5 games where you get almost this exact spawn. Berries in the corner. You've got the tree line nearby, and then it connects to the one where the gold is going to be. So this is a very wallable spawn. And that means that what Voldemar can do is he can wall here and wall here, and he secures all the food and gold he needs to get through the uncomfortable early game. This also sucks for Crackety, because if the plan was some sort of outpost rush, not on the table anymore. I have to see. This is going to be Crackety's 5 villager French feudal rush, right? Patented, of course. No, he changes it. It's 4 this time. Okay, so we'll speed it up again. Sheep count is 9 to 13. All right. So this is definitely getting uploaded just so we can mold about how much of a different sheep count makes, right? This is a very different game now. Courier Storehouse, it's not entirely necessary, but I kind of get it here. He doesn't want to have to approach the H. If he thought he was stuck in Age 2, Coca makes sense, but he's going to rush Age 3 here. And we already have the stone being gathered, so probably an Uma Bannerman opening. The Uma Bannerman is a little bit busted, folks. Here's why. 230 HP completely neglects the charge of an enemy knight, and also neglects the bonus damage. And only takes 15 seconds to produce. Uma Bannerman's kind of busted. People just didn't realize it before because it wasn't viable, right? Before the Daimyo buff, it wasn't feasible to get 300 stone early. But now, with this Forge build, which we've been seeing a lot of high-level players doing, you can very efficiently rush into that Tier 1, which plays very nicely into Courier Storehouse because you're immediately getting farms that are buffed by 25% on the gathering. Wait, Crackety missed? Okay, so Crackety, next time we're casting EGC, because everyone thinks you're smart and everyone thinks I'm dumb, you just need to praise me more. Because this is why you're smart, Crackety. You come here and like... Yeah, Daimyo got buffed. It is a big buff as well. 300 stone to 225. And the split is nice going on stone because it gives you that extra gold to get the Uma Bannerman. So tech complete. Stable's being dropped. Here we go. And you can already see that this is perfect to mirror out the rush tech timing from Crackety. First Knight is going to come out. But here's the thing. That took 29 seconds to produce. Feels great, right? Going to take you about another 15 seconds to reach the enemy base. In 15 seconds, Japan will have an Uma Bannerman. It's insane. Watch this. Drops it. Needs to drop off the last bit of food. And boom. 15 seconds. And then you've counted the knight. And it's kind of wild, actually, because I think the Uma Bannerman has... Was it 16 base damage or 14? His base damage is lower, but his health is much higher. So here you go. 18, sorry. 18 because I think he... Yeah, it's kind of weird. He buffs himself. His base is 16, but he buffs himself by 2. Like, this is 100% the Obama meme where he's putting a medal on himself. So the Uma Bannerman comes out, and admissively, Crackety did miss micro there going on a tower, but even if it wasn't for the tower attack there, or the TC attack, the Bannerman would still win that fight. Yeah, really rough one. And look at the deflective armor recharging. This means that if you get this charge off, you don't get that +3 damage that French Knights get. Because deflective armor registers 0 damage. This is a big part in general of why French gets countered by Japan. Not just at this point in the game, but 10 minutes from now when we're in Castle. Because mass-mounted samurai don't just negate a 38 damage lance charge, they're negating a bonus 9 damage that's meant to be there. And they're still going to do about 36 damage or so themselves. Don't ask me why the Uma Bannerman has more health than standard knights, because I don't know either. In fairness, it is weaker by like 1 damage than a standard knight, right? So I guess that was the balance point. But overall, this unit is way too valuable. Uma Bannerman diving. Oh my god, Crackety, he gets found out on the deer. A smart idea to rush up the outpost, but the timings just didn't match up nicely there. So we'll be chased away. That's going to be a village death. Behind this, 3 farms now added in. And remember, that's a 25% buffed gathering rate. Castle Age is already on the horizon for Voldemar. And this sucks for French because now you're reacting in your base instead of blocking the Japanese tech timing. And you know it's coming. And the problem with that is like the only way out for French in a castle rush here is to play Arbre de Trier. But the thing that makes Japan really good in that situation is 1, Arbre de Trier take time to scale. 2, it's not an aggressive unit. Which means you're not going to block Japan from collecting relics. Other thing I love about the stables opening as well is he just lost a scout. You can replace it. Right? You don't have to sacrifice a villager. That's a big deal. Did I say deals? Would you guys like a good deal? Oh man, I didn't even know that time was coming. That's the perfect time to talk about it. Guys, reminder, 4th month in a row with Protein Works. If you want to be as big and as strong as the Uma Bannerman while remaining lean, be sure to check them out right now. They've got insane discounts on offer. I definitely recommend checking out the meal replacements, the coffee coolers, and the nootropics range. Those last 2, in particular, fantastic for gamers. We need to keep that energy up. When you want to grind 8 hours a day of Age of Empires 4, you want to be peak awake. Imagine you're 6 or 7 hours in and you queue into Beastie. You need to chug those nootropics so you're as switched on as possible. Like a light bulb. Floating gate on the way. The light bulb feels appropriate because it feels like we've reached that eureka point. Voldemar has to be feeling very good about this build right now. Knight count is at 6, but the problem is with the floating gate, the gap is going to get closed so quickly here. You can see he's already prepping under mesh for the dive, but it might be a bit too slow. Villagers are going to be able to shuffle away. The double arrow fire already stinging. Love that little wall, by the way. It's just very efficient. I think while walling has been nerfed, walling is still going to be viable in Season 9. This is, of course, on Season 8. You're just going to see more walls of this type. It's what I call the V for Victory formation, right? Instead of walling all the way across, it's just not very efficient in the upcoming patch. So expect to see a lot more of this down the line. The other cool thing is if you draw the wall past the finish point, you can make it cheaper because central wall pieces cost less and you just delete the ends. Because remember, the cost of a wall comes from its beginning and its end, because you have the 21 wood at the beginning. So if you start a wall here and then draw it through, and only build this and cancel here, you'll refund the 21 wood. No refunds for you though, Crackety. So this is probably the easiest way to show how painful this matchup is for French. Could you guys list the civs where France has to wall like this at 10 minutes? The matchups are French, right? Like, there aren't many civs that can force France to have to wall themselves in. But Japan rushing Castle Age is one of them. First Mounted Samurai coming out. Oh, it only cost 7 with 1. Is that bug or intended, though? But you still save, right? I'm pretty sure you still save. So maybe the UI needs to be updated, because currently in the UI, you can't see it, but it says initially costs 21 wood, and each additional section costs 7. Crackety just trying to mass knights. Is he really going to try to play Rule Institute into this? I guess he has to. I just don't like the idea of it being knights. I prefer like arbitrary to be your end goal. But we mentioned the problem of doing that is if he hunkers down in his base, if he hides in a corner, he's not going to be contesting the map at all, which just feeds into the snowball effect of the Japanese at this point. Slow mo. We're going to speed up a bit. Mount Samurai are starting to march in. You don't want to fight these guys. Even with the number advantage, it's kind of tricky. And freebies like that is a big no-no. Knights have massed up together. Looks like he will be able to protect that outpost. But look at what's happening elsewhere. You just heard the ching. Relic got dropped off. On top of that, Krakeny is now building into additional pocket economies. It's playing a dangerous game, man. Kind of has to. You can't afford to just go into the corner, have to build farms or go berries. You need the best gathering rates possible to keep scaling knights and get attack. But we're starting to see the eclipsing point here. Man, Samurai are soon going to be able to take over. Starts to target fire down. A bit of a miss micro there. One knight is going to bait the attention over on the east side. I love the way he kind of folded left and pushed in. He's trying to keep himself away from the thick line of French knights here to maximize his damage while minimizing Krakeny's. And look at the outcome of that fight. He killed what? A scout and I think 2 samurai. Lost about 4 or 5 knights in return and now more in the retreat. Knight's at least going to be able to dive out into the villages to idle them up. But now you've lost map control, right? And all of a sudden, Krakeny's idea of going Castle Age gets ruined. He has to reinvest in the Night Mass. Yeah, and this is the cyclical nature of this now, right? Once you get sucked into the whirlwind, you're going to get ruined. This is where French begins to feel really weird to play. Because sometimes you're in matchups where you have to play the long feudal and you feel good about it because you're doing damage. But because of the zergy nature of Japanese in a more quality way with the Mounted Samurai, you actually have to put all of your knights onto defense because even one attacking means you're going to lose the main fight. Love the Yoroshu drop, by the way. This got buffed from 25% to 30%. So now you produce villages every 15 seconds. It's like having Song Dynasty. And that beats the 17-second production time of the French TC. So yeah, love that kind of 1-2. We've usually seen players just go for the transition into another unit type. You don't need it. You don't even need a second stables buffed. This is good enough at this point in the game. Blocker out on the ball on the north side. Has at least got the one outpost up, so should be able to shove him away eventually. Kind of a bit tricky, though. It's only 1 relic so far. However, that south side does hold 2, which I don't think Krakeny can contest. Luckily for him, though, Voldemar doesn't know about this one. We're going to speed up again. This is turning into a bit of a death stare, right? Voldemar shows up somewhere. Krakeny has to kind of back away and allow it. He's looking for that one big strike because he needs to find the Japanese knight split to overwhelm. This direct fight sure as hell not going to favor him. We're talking about all these different things, deflective and whatever, but remember the Uma Bannerman's also a big deal. An extra 4 damage on these knights. However, that charge in, quite bold. Second wave is going to arrive now, so bringing the peel back. And Knights garrisoning outpost is not a good sign. Krakeny at least able to shove him away, courtesy of the double outpost spam. Meantime, there's a small raid going into the deer. So good fight there. That's exactly what Krakeny needed to check those health bars. Yeah, Voldemar kind of rushed his timing there. I think he needed to wait for the additional 3 knights to make that a little bit more desirable. The reason that's important is if the knights, the French knights outnumber the samurai, some of them will get bonus damage because the deflective armor removes one of the lance attacks, but then the other one will connect onto flesh. Another annoying thing here actually is when you dive in, these outposts are just taking away a lot of your deflective armors also. So we've got a dive coming in now. Check this. Voldemar caught trying to go to Raxus. This could be big. Krakeny needs it as well. The eco situation has Voldemar about a 10 eco lead. But not after this dive. Rushing the gate up. He needs to get the troopers in. Luckily, the overchop helps him out there. That was important, actually, because if it wasn't for that overchop, that would have been 4 more villagers dead. Great strike from Krakeny, though. Able to shrink the eco lead that Voldemar was building. 47 to 50 eco now. Wait, 50? This is so stupidly creepy. Are you kidding me? Double Yorishiro TC. That is wild. I love the fact that even when Voldemar doesn't play China, he tries to play China. Because, guys, that is Song Dynasty 2 TC. Oh, man. I mean, in an even game, it might be a mistake, but this isn't an even game, folks. The amount of Samurai count has gotten too bloated. Crackety can't defend anymore. He's in his base right now trying to hold, but it's the Uma Bannerman layering into this cake that makes it so overwhelmingly powerful for Japan. And look at those health bars. Last time, it was Voldemar that needed an ambulance. Crackety, he's going to need a funeral parlor. 2 knights left over versus 9 mounted samurai and an immediate GG called. Look at that, guys. Crackety coaching at his finest. 2 minutes is all he needs to turn you from a loser into a winner.